Hi guys, we're back in school and I'm going to ink up the easy scratch plate, the print plate, where I've drawn a fish head. Now we're going to be using oil-based printing ink, and oil-based printing ink is essentially pigment suspended in oil. So when it gets into your fingers, it's going to stain. So we wear gloves. So I'm just popping on some gloves. Now, we need the ink to go into the surface of the card, and you will be given a base sheet of paper so it can be scrumpled up and just thrown away when you've finished to protect the tabletop, minimise cleaning, and some card and some ink. The ink will be pre-laid out for you in these COVID times. Now notice what I'm doing, using a piece of card and forcing ink into the surface of the card. Now two things happen here. The structural integrity of the card is lost. It becomes a little bit soft around the edge and it becomes hard to work, or you may run out of ink. So I want to make sure I've covered the full design. Now on here, the design is only in this local area. It's not all the way to the edges, so I don't necessarily have to fill the whole plate. I'm now scraping off some of the excess. I'm just going to pop that on my piece of paper, ultimately to throw in the bin. If there's a lot of ink on the surface, I might take some more off with another piece of card. This is only cut amount board. Now the next thing we need to do is polish off the surface, leaving the ink in the grooves. And I have a rag, it's like a piece of old cotton t-shirt here. And I want to create a loose pad. I'm going to demonstrate. This is a loose pad. See how it's moving around? This is a tight pad. It's fairly solid and firm. So I want a loose pad because what I want to do is rock around on the surface, taking off the excess. I do not want to press hard and take it out of the drawing in the grooves. I'm going to stand up to do this. So I'm polishing mainly around the outer areas. I'm doing very little currently on the actual drawing. The drawing, remember, is scratched into the surface. So I'm taking off some of the excess that's on the top. And that's it done for now. So that is finished with for this stage. Now I'm actually going to remove my glove for the next stage, but you might want to keep yours on. And I've got a piece of tissue paper, and it happens to be yellow, any colour will do. And using the very tip of my hands without a lot of pressure, I'm gently stroking the surface of the print plate. Notice? Very, very gently. I'm not putting pressure on, I'm ramming it down. You see I'm taking only a teeny little bit of additional ink off. Onto here, you'll be able to see areas where there's drawing, but in the gaps where there's nothing going on, there's still ink. There should be ink on my finger now because I've just touched a wet plate. So all we're doing is we're polishing off the surface, leaving ink into the grooves. So if you did want to leave some on the surface to try it out, if it was your first print, that's absolutely fine, but we will review and reflect upon the print when we've done it. So I think I'm reasonably happy with that. The last little marks up here, some of them actually feel like little scratches onto the plate. I'm going to just try and polish them off. Taking my other glove off for this. That's a little bit dirty, so I'm just going to pop that one out of the way. And then finally, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, if you have got any film still on the back, you can remove that now. I'm just going to polish around the edges of the plate. You can do this with just a piece of paper or with the tissue paper. And taking any excess off around the edge of the plate. And there you can see the image that was scratched into it is now quite clearly onto the surface. I tend to turn my gloves inside out, and so I can put them back on if I'm going to do multiple prints rather than pollute the environment with loads of gloves used in one session. At the end, all of this has to be scooped up and put directly into the bin at this COVID time. We cannot use any of it and recycle it again. So at the end of the session, you'll be instructed how to pop it all in the bin.